Hey everyone, it's Anthony back with another video here on Single and Placing. Hi. I'm a mess, Apollo's a mess, and we need a walk, but I just finished work and I feel like I didn't really come to life all day today. I just kind of sat in front of my computer from start to end and didn't really get up, and now I'm just I don't know, if you work from home, maybe you've experienced that where you just kind of come to. But anyway, so we are here with another video. This is going to be the third installment, almost kind of a vlog style for my series focused on WT Benda. I'm titling, kind of subtitling that video, or I'm sorry, that kit as Masks by WT Benda. And so part of that, I wanted to do something a little cultural, kind of mix it up a little bit, kind of do a vlog style. And so it's after work, it's already dark outside, but we are gonna go get some stuff to make dinner. And I decided to do maybe a little Polish meal because WT Benda, he is native to Poland. Throughout his life, even after he relocated to the US and became a US citizen, he was a big advocate for Polish American organizations. He even did some artwork to help support the relief effort in Poland during both world wars. So I think that his Polish heritage was very near and dear to his heart, and he really, really cared about supporting those communities. So why not to make a little Polish meal to the best of my abilities? And the only thing that I'm really making from scratch is mizeria, which is a cucumber dish that is like a side dish. So I think I'm gonna get some pierogies. I've already got the kielbasa. I went to a local Polish market here in the Denver area and got kielbasa. So I just need to let that thaw. So while that's thawing, we're gonna go to the store, two stores. We're gonna go to the store to get the ingredients to make mizeria, and then we're gonna go grab some pierogies. So come along with me on my shopping trip. I don't know if I'll do video clips or just pictures of the ingredients as I snag them, but we're gonna get everything together. And then when you'll see me next, I'm gonna set up the camera in the kitchen and we're gonna make this stuff together. So come along with me as I try to invoke and infuse a little Polish culture and cuisine into my work on WT Benda's Masks kit from Distracted by Diamonds. Let's go! Bye. Okay, so here we are outside of Pierogies factory. Let's go inside and get some pierogies. Had I done my planned this better, I would have done a little research on this store. It's been around for quite some time, but alas, here we are. So let's go grab some pierogies. Okay, pierogies have been purchased. So we've got the boy back here. He's coming with me on this little run. And now we're gonna head over to the regular grocery store so I can get just a couple ingredients to make mizeria, I believe is how it's pronounced. And that is that cucumber side dish. So I need cucumbers, dill, sour cream. I already have the salt and pepper. You can kind of season to taste, I think. And I think that's really all that's in it. It should be a really quick process. And then I forgot that we usually get caramelized onions on our pierogies. So I'm just gonna grab an onion so I can caramelize that. I've got some cooking wine at home that I can caramelize that up with, and some butter. So I'm gonna bop over there and then we will get back to the house, okay? We'll see you at the grocery store. I'll just take some pictures, I think. We'll see. Okay, bye. Okay, so here we are in Anthony's super classy kitchen. Just kidding, our kitchen is not very nice, but you know what? I get a really good deal on rent, so that's all I'll say about that. We do the best that we can in this household. So, okay, I guess before I get started, so I have the first things first. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and prepare our cucumber salad and go ahead and get all of that going before we get into the hot stuff. I figure I can, that way I don't have to move the camera around. I can prep the cold stuff here while the burners are not going. Go ahead and set that in the fridge to let it set. And then as that's setting up, we still have our pierogies to get done. We've got our We've got our kielbasa to cook up, and then we're also gonna do some sauteed onions and shallots that I grabbed, and we're gonna go ahead and get those sauteed up too. So that should be a pretty nice little meal. And yeah, so I guess first things first, I need to grab, what else do I need? Oh, I need to grab my vegetable peeler. 1 second. Okay, sorry if you're a little wobbly there. All right, so for miseria, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and chop and slice our cucumber. I've got my little mandolin here, and I've got my vegetable slicer here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and chop our ends off of the cucumber. Seems like a really simple recipe. I don't know why I'm like so nervous about this. And then I have my little scraps bowl over here. That way I can go I can go put these in the compost when we're all done. So I've got my vegetable slicer, and we're gonna go ahead and get to a slice in. So yeah, I hope, I don't know if I said it at the beginning of this video. This was actually pretty, I knew I was gonna record this video, but it was pretty impromptu on the day. I didn't know when I was gonna get it done. And I kept saying, ooh, today will be the day. And then I ended up taking Apollo for walks and stuff. So I never really had a set date, but then I got done with work today and I was like, you know what, Apollo, we've been going on these late night walks, these long walks every night for like the past 10 days. I need a night off from driving up there, and I want to get this dinner video done, or this recipe video done. So the poor guy got a regular walk. He's very upset because it's not our normal 3-mile off-leash run. We just went around the block a couple times, maybe did like 1.5 miles. So he's over here breathing heavy, and he's just very anxious and upset that we didn't do our normal process. But I think he needs to learn that we can't manage that every single day, as much as I want to do it every single day. So he might get another little jaunt after I'm done with this video. But anywho, so I decided after work today was the day. So here we are. Okay, so we've now, we've peeled our cucumber, and then I have my mandolin here that slices pretty darn thinly. So from what I read on the recipe, the thinner the better, because then it kind of absorbs the, ends up being kind of like a sauce between the sour cream and the water from the cucumber. So you can see here, we're getting these nice thin little slices. Super thin, yum, yum, yum. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna do 1 cucumber, and then the recipe called for 1.3 pounds. I don't know how many servings that was, but it said 1.3 pounds of cucumbers and then 1 cup of sour cream. I'm gonna do a little bit less sour cream, and then if it doesn't look thick enough or quite right, then I might add a little bit more. This recipe is actually really similar to a cucumber recipe that my grandmother used to make. I don't know what cuisine it was hailing from, but it was very similar with the sour cream and the salt and the pepper. It was essentially miseria, but I believe she even put in just a little splash of white vinegar at some point because it had like some tartness to it. So I don't know what the difference is there. And then sometimes I remember her shaking a little chili powder in there too. So I don't know if that was just her own concoction or what. I think I might give this to, here you go. Cucumber? Let's see if you like that. You've never had one before. He just kind of slightly bit it and walked away. He's like, what is this? Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure where my grandma got that recipe from, if that is, you know, her heritage is Spanish and Mexican, so I'm not sure where she got that, but this doesn't have like the tartness of the vinegar or anything like that. So we have our cucumber sliced here. The next thing I'm gonna do is just do a good sprinkling of salt on top and then give that a good mix. What that's gonna do is it's gonna make the cucumbers sweat or draw out a lot of natural water and moisture from in the cucumber. So we'll end up with like a little layer of water at the bottom. That's gonna help to give the cucumbers a nice texture, but then we can also use that water to create that kind of sour creamy kind of sauce that this salad sits in. This is really reminiscent of my process for when I make kimchi. The first thing I do when I chop up either my cabbage or the radish is I coat it in salt and let it sweat for almost an hour before I start making the rest of the kimchi, and I reincorporate some of that sweat water back into the recipe later on. So not super I'm not, a big stranger to this kind of process. So we're just gonna give this a good crack of salt on top. You can use just your bagged salt in this process, maybe a little bit more. Because the granules are more fine, I just had that sitting next to me and I think it'll work just fine. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna give this cucumber just a nice coating, a nice kind of mix up with that salt. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set this aside for about 5 to 10 minutes just to go ahead and let that salt do its work, draw some of that natural moisture out of the cucumber. And then when we come back, we'll drain that water from the cucumber and then continue our recipe. So let me go ahead and let that sit. I'll be right back. Bye. Okie dokie. So we've gone ahead and let that rest for just about 10 minutes, probably about 8 minutes. And you can already see that we've got some of that liquid coming through there. So let's see if I can get some more light on you as opposed to me. How does that look? That's a little better, I suppose. That's as good as we're gonna get. It's nighttime. I'm using my ring light to try to make this happen. Let's see if I can get more of a top down. Oh, that's okay. I like that. There you go. See, there you go. It was the shadows. So we have our cucumber set. And what I've got here, and this is just a little trick I've learned from making a different cucumber salad that I make where I do have to strain. Actually, it's potato salad, but it has cucumbers in it. One of these days, we're going to have to do a Korean kit, a Korean diamond painting or artist. That way I can show some of the tricks I learned during the pandemic. But what I've got here is a little strainer. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of our cucumber into that strainer. Set our bowl aside for now and just give this some gentle pressure just to get those juices out. I'm not trying to crush this down into like a cucumber paste or anything weird like that. Just trying to get maybe a few more drops of that liquid out, and I can already see some coming out. So just a little bit, because we kind of want to control how saucy and fluid this salad is by reincorporating those juices on the back end. So I think that's good enough. I like my salads when I've had this kind of cucumber salad at that Pierogies factory that we were just at before, and they do make theirs a little saucy, which I kind of like. So I'm gonna just do that a little bit more. That looks pretty good. So the cucumbers are going right back in the bowl we just removed them from, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the sink. So now what we have here is kind of a salty cucumber brine water. So you can see how much liquid came out of that. And if we would have continued to leave it, we would have gotten a lot more out. So there's that. And that's really kind of the main part of this, this recipe. Let me just grab a spoon here. Ooh, tripod, you're in my way. Okay. So I've got our sour cream here. This is 1/3 cup, so I did kind of like a heaping amount because this is kind of, from my guess, about a half recipe. So we're gonna pop that in there. Okay, a little scraping ASMR, I guess. I don't know. Okay, and then we're just gonna give that a good mix. So you can, it still has that water from the cucumber in that, and that salt will probably continue to draw out some more water. So I do wanna be cautious of how much extra I add in, if any, because it's still gonna keep pulling water out. So if you have some of this for leftovers or you go to grab it later on, you might end up with seeing it kind of separate. You might wanna just give it a good mix before you serve it as leftovers. So. But hopefully that sour cream will actually allow it to set just slightly. So there's that. Okay, so the only other thing I'm gonna do to this is it. This could technically be done. But some recipes do say that you can add a little bit of dill to this recipe as well. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I've already pre-chopped the dill while we were waiting, and I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little bit to it in the actual salad itself. And this is according to, I'll have to link the recipe if I remember in the description, but it was like best or most classic Polish side dishes, and this was like one of the top ones. So there's that, just to give that dill, just to add a little bit of that kick, and I love dill. So there's that. Based on what I'm seeing here, I don't think I'm gonna add this additional juice. I think this was just enough what was already there. So I think we're okay there. I might just add just a touch of black pepper, just a touch of cracked pepper. And I'm gonna give it a quick taste to make sure that the saltiness is there from when I got the cucumbers to sweat. Sometimes you need to add a little bit more, at least in previous side dishes similar to this that I've done. So I'm just gonna take a little, let me grab a separate spoon. Let's do this the right way. Okay. So I'm gonna grab just a little separate spoon here just to take a little taste. That's really good. Maybe just a touch more salt. This is a really good, this would be perfect for summer. It's very refreshing and kind of light, and that dill adds just a little something something. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is go ahead and get it into a bowl to be served, and I'm gonna top it with just a little bit more dill and a little bit more black pepper. So let me grab, let's do this bowl. I think that'll look good. So I've got my little bowl here. I'm gonna go ahead and just get this right in there. It's weird that it's got like little bubbles in it. I don't know if that's just from the sour cream mixing with the water, but it's like got a little bubbliness to it. It's very interesting. Okay, so we've got that there. So the last thing I want to do is just do just a touch of black pepper, and then just a little bit of dill right there. Maybe spread that out just a little bit more so it's not as piled. Okay, beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this salad sit. I thought I had some, okay, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just cling wrap this real quick. Let that sit in the fridge and kind of set a little bit while I keep making this meal. But there is our homemade miseria. Yay! All right, let's go ahead and pop that in the fridge, and we're gonna stop the video, and then we're gonna kind of get everything reset for our hot food. Okay, I'll be right back. Bye. Okay, sorry for the bounciness. We'll let that settle. Using my gooseneck camera is always, or a gooseneck mount is always very fun. But here we are back again. Okay, so our miseria is in the fridge. It's setting. So what we have in front of us now is a pot of water that that really came to a boil quick. So I'm gonna turn that down, and we've got our kielbasa here in front of us. So what we're gonna do with the kielbasa is kind of a two-step method where we're going to do a quick boil, and then we're gonna finish it in the pan just to give it some brownness and some crispness. But this will make sure that we cook our kielbasa through rather than just tossing it in the pan, because you'll end up browning it, burning it, but still potentially having a raw middle. So we just have enough water in here, ideally, to cover our kielbasa. So I've got my tongs here, and these are big boys. I got them from the Polish market. Woo! So perfect, that looks like a good amount. So we wanna put them in there and just keep it at a nice low rolling boil. just to get that cooking process started. So we're kind of par cooking it in here, and then we're gonna finish it in the pan. So you can, from what I've read and the videos that I've watched, you can throw some garlic in there, some bay leaf, a whole bunch of other stuff if you're just gonna boil them off. But since we're gonna finish them in the pan, I might put a little yummy stuff in the pan to give it that flavor. So I just want to keep an eye on that so it comes back up to a rolling boil, and then we'll cover it. And that'll sit for probably about 10 minutes. While that's going, on the opposite side here, I've got some butter that we're just getting up to a nice temperature to saute or to caramelize. And here I've got a half of a medium yellow onion, as well as 1/2 of a medium to large sized shallot. So we're gonna let this sit and have some fun and cook down and get nice and caramelized. And that'll be our topping for our pierogies. I'm gonna finish it with a little red cooking wine here as well, just to add some extra flavor. So let's go ahead and dump that in here. And so we don't want this to go crazy. This is kind of a slow and steady caramelization. That butter's really gonna give it a nice brown color. And those will end up looking really good. So you can do this with oil. I was in the fridge and I was like, oh, butter, perfect. So there's that. So we might crank that heat up just a little bit. You just don't want to cook them too hot too fast, because then you end up just essentially frying your onions. So you want to keep them nice and soft, but still have that nice caramelized color. So it's a slow and steady process. Ideally, those will be done by the time everything else is done. So, okay, let's go ahead and turn the heat up on our kielbasa. I just want to see that boil come to, and then we'll go ahead and cover it. And then after that, we're gonna be hanging out for a little bit. So I'll probably stop this clip, come back to you when the kielbasa is ready to be transferred over, and I'll show you that browning process. And then we'll still have our onions going. And then the last piece of this is going to be just to do a quick fry of our thawed pierogies. I have those thawing in the sink as we speak. So I don't know as far as like my process goes, but I'm pretty good about, I guess, planning out like first this, then this, then this, and multiple things going on the stove at the same time. One of my things when cooking is I am not ashamed to use every pot in the house just to keep production moving. It means there's like some extra dishes at the end of the day, but I'm much more happy to do those than to like be stressing out about, okay, well, I'm trying to condense all this down, so if I need a pot, I grab a pot. So I use everything at my disposal when I cook. And hopefully, if my roommate does get home today, then he can help me with the cleanup. But otherwise, I will be happy to do it. So let's see. Okay, we're starting to get some good little bubbles there on that kielbasa. Let's crank that up just a little bit more. We just need to get it up to a boil. We don't want it a screaming boil, just a nice rolling boil. From my research, this is my first time making kielbasa, the first time I made mizeria. I've caramelized onions before, but yeah, this is just all based off of research I did today. So, okay, just gonna do a little cleanup while we're waiting here. And also I should mention, I'm gonna be intercutting some time lapses of me working on WT Benda 1922, so you may be seeing those in between our different steps. I think I only have 3 or 4 clips of that time lapse, so there might be some times where I just do a full transition into the next clip, but just be mindful of that. You might see me working on that kit as well. I'm doing all of this after I've finished the kit completely, so I just have those time lapses kind of in the bank. Those are gonna be some buttery caramely onions. Oh my goodness, I probably used I just grabbed the last hunk of butter that I had from the block, and I was just like, boom, there you go. But I think that's a lot of the fun of cooking too, is like just toss it in there. Let's see what happens, but as long as you've got your flavor profiles and stuff, I don't know. I feel like I have a fairly decent eye for it. My first year of college was a culinary arts school, so maybe that's where this is coming from. So, okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I kind of want to maintain this, so I want to just turn this down ever so slightly. We're kind of right at a medium heat, And we're gonna trap some of that heat with, this is a big cast iron pot. So we're gonna trap some of that heat with our lid, and we're gonna go ahead and let that go for 10 minutes and see where that gets us. Okay, so that's going. Our onions are they just need some love. We just gotta keep an eye on them and keep them moving. And ideally we'll start to see some browning and some nice, beautiful caramel color come through. And once we do that, or once we see that, then I'm gonna hit them with a little red cooking wine just to give them some depth of flavor, and those will be good to go to put on top of our pierogies. So, all right, I'm gonna end this clip while we let this go. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. We're gonna get some oil in here, get this pan nice and hot, and throw some seasoning on here and give those kielbasa the browning treatment. So, all right, we'll see you at the next clip. Bye. Okie dokie, so we've just hit our 10-minute mark with that kielbasa, and I've been continuing to give our onions a little stir. You can see them starting to kind of break down and soften a little bit, so we're making our way there. I might turn that heat down ever so slightly again. Once again, we don't want to fry them, we're just kind of softening them. So let's go ahead and reveal our kielbasa. Let's see what we're looking like in here. Ooh boy. So we're gonna cut that heat. Got some clean tongs here, and what I have over on this side now, and what we're going to transfer those kielbasa into, is a pan of oil. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we're not transferring water into this hot pan with oil. So I'm going to go ahead and remove our lid here, place it over here off to the side, and I'm just going to grab our cutting board. And on that cutting board, I'm going to need a fresh roll of paper towels. So I'm going to grab these paper towels and go ahead and just place them on the cutting board. Be careful, you're working with a hot stove here. And I'm going to go ahead and remove our kielbasa. There we go. Come on, buddies. Oh, ew, ew. There we go. There we go. Okay. So those have been cooking for about 10 minutes. They should be cooked through. They were completely thawed. We're just now, our goal is to go ahead and brown them. And I might go ahead and separate them. I don't know if I should do that, but I'm going to do it just for ease of making this work. So let me grab my knife here. Perfect. And so I'm just going to give these a little slice. Beautiful. Okay. So, looks like we've got some nice hot oil here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down just slightly, and we're going to go ahead and add our kielbasa. Okay, so keep in mind our goal here is just to get them browned. I've got some seasonings here off to the side that I'm going to go ahead and add as well, kind of towards the end. I really just want to get the surface kind of coated in those seasonings more than anything else, just to add a little flavor. We've got some smoked paprika and just a little bit of sage that we'll put on right at the end. I'm going to give these about, I'm going to keep an eye on it, but I want to give them probably about 6 to 10 minutes at least, just checking on them. I don't want them to be burnt by any means. So, okay. I think we're done with this. Can go here. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so let's go ahead and turn that off. This is back here, and we'll let that cool. So let's go ahead and see what we can do to brown up these kielbasa. Our onions are making their way there ever so slowly, but that's exactly what we're looking for. And once these kielbasa are done and out of the pan, we're going to use this same pan to go ahead and cook up our pierogies. And our pierogies should take about, once again, about 6 to 10 minutes. I'm going to flip them, so we'll do 3 or 4 minutes on one side, flip them, keep an eye on them. Those are fully cooked. They're potato and cheese, so they just need to get some brownness to them. We're going to put some butter in this pan. So there's that. I'm gonna probably let this go, and I might even stop you and then just do a fast speed without the sound, because I know that crackling can be a little loud. So I might just do like a double time or 3 times, just so you can still see the process. And then you'll see when I add the sage and the paprika. I've also got a clove of garlic here. I just improvised that. I just gave it a good crush. That's just going to go in once again to give some flavor and aroma. So sage, paprika, and um, and the garlic. I'd say maybe like 1/8 of a teaspoon of each, the sage and the paprika. This is just for a very subtle flavor on these. They're going to be filled with delicious flavor just being themselves. So does that sound delicious or what? We're already seeing a little bit of browning here, so we've got our temperature right. Might turn that down ever so slightly. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this clip, but I'm going to keep recording. We'll just do it without the sound. That way you don't have all that popping, and we'll go from there, okay? Bye. Okay, so we just hit the 10-minute mark with our kielbasa. So I'm liking the color that I'm seeing here. They feel very firm to the touch. It's very apparent that they are cooked through. And at the last 3 minutes, I went ahead and dumped the clove of garlic in there, as well as a nice sprinkling of sage. I decided to hold out on the paprika just for now. So all we have here is sage and garlic. So I'm going to remove these and place them right onto my clean cutting board. And I'm going to let these rest. And so essentially and you may be aware of this, but anytime you're working with like sausages, steaks, anything kind of red meat based, even hamburgers, it's a good tip to go ahead and once you're done cooking, let those meats rest until you are ready to serve them. Give them a few minutes to rest, and this will be the perfect opportunity to cook up our pierogies. That allows all those juices that have kind of come out in the cooking process to kind of get reabsorbed back into that protein and just keep everything nice and juicy and delicious. It gives a lot more flavor. So the first thing that I used to do sometimes when I would grill is as soon as I would get done, immediately just start cutting into that meat and you just see all the juices coming out. If you let your meats rest for a little bit and even cool slightly, you get to keep all of that within the sausages, the steaks, what have you. So little tip, I know it's pretty common, but sometimes I just get really anxious. I'm like, let's cut it open, let's get going, Our onions are starting to get just a little bit of brownness on the tips and on the sides. So those are moving along nicely. So what we're gonna do now is go ahead and cook up our pierogies. I went ahead and thawed our pierogies, which are from the Pierogies factory. This is a restaurant here in the Denver area that sells a bunch of different styles of pierogies. From what I understand, they're fairly traditional. You can sit down and eat, but they also have these frozen and ready to go that you can purchase at the restaurant. So these are potato and cheese. They're nice and thawed. And rather than dumping out our oil that we have here in the pan, there's a lot of flavor, that smokiness from the sausages, from the kielbasa. We've got a little bit of sage still in there. I'm gonna actually use this oil to go ahead and cook up our pierogies. I may need to add a little bit of butter just to get things moving and grooving, but we'll see what this looks like after I dump them in. So we have a dozen pierogies here, and these are all, like I said, pre-made, thawed, ready to rock and roll. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and dump those right in our pan. So we're going to get the crackling again, but I'm going to keep you on board with me just for a little bit until I get these really going. Let me toss in just a little bit of butter. Butter, 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 everybody needs more butter. And you can call me Butter. Okay, so just a little butter just to give them some more. I'm going to go ahead and turn up our heat ever so slightly. And that oil from our kielbasa is going to give these a wonderful brown color as well. These are going to look gorgeous. We've got a couple here that aren't wanting to separate. There we go, buddies. All right. So what we're going to do with these is just brown them until they're nice and crispy. I'm going to go ahead and do 4 minutes on each side. So get them nice and coated. Give them a good wash of that oil butter mixture. And then we're going to let those cook for about 4 minutes, and I'll see how they look. And if they need a couple more minutes, we can do that. I'd say total cooking time somewhere between 8 and 12 minutes. We'll say that. You just want to brown them and make sure that they're completely cooked through is really our goal here. But we don't want to burn them. So we're going to keep them moving pretty decently. Our onions are starting to look really nice over here too. They're starting to get that caramelized color. So they're coming around. I might even turn the heat down ever so slightly just to extend that softening process as much as possible. And right at the last few minutes, once I flip these, I'm going to go ahead and hit them with a good splash of red cooking wine and keep those going until that cooking wine basically cooks off. We're going to kind of boil that off, and we should be left with some really nice kind of burgundy, pinkish, delicious looking onions. You could do white wine as well, or you could do no wine whatsoever, but I like a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of depth of flavor that a nice wine gives to caramelized onions. So not a nice wine, this is just cooking wine. You could use a nice wine if you so choose, but I'm just using cooking wine. So, all right, so we're gonna let these set. I'll probably do the same thing with our clip. We're gonna let them cook for a little bit. We'll flip them and we'll keep going. And then we'll finish off the onions. And I think that's our meal. So stay tuned. I'm going to do kind of just a fast speed. So you're still going to be with me cooking, but you don't have to hear all the snap, crackle, pop. Okay? We'll be right back. Bye. Okay, so our onions, for the most part, that wine's kind of cooked off, so now we just kind of have like that butter mixture there. So that should kind of start to reincorporate in those onions, but our wine did cook off. I'm feeling pretty good about how brown these are on either side. So that's it. We've just completed a meal involving our miseria, kielbasa, our potato and cheese pierogies, and a really nice looking caramelized onion. You can see that there. So that's going to go on top of our pierogies. I've also decided to go ahead and just do a little bit of sour cream in a bowl to use to dip my pierogies in. It's what I've seen offered in a couple different restaurants that I've been to that serve pierogies. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But now it's just time to assemble our meal and go ahead and prepare for service. So let me go ahead and work on making this a little bit presentable. I'll just kind of present the final dish kind of here in front of you while I let the burners cool down, and then I might serve myself a plate and we'll head back over to the craft room for a little taste test. So let me go ahead and get this all put together. 1 second. Okay, well there it is. We've got our miseria in the middle, our kielbasa, which I've decided to slice in half just so we have kind of an even siding, and then our half a dozen pierogies on either side covered in our caramelized onions. I went ahead and just garnished a little bit with some extra dill that I had sitting in the bowl, and then I brought in our paprika just to provide a little bit of garnish and just some kind of visual enhancement. So there is our Polish platter that I've put together for us today. Obviously, I'm not going to eat all this in one sitting. This is going to be some leftovers, and I think my roommate's coming, so he'll be able to enjoy some as well. But for now, let me go ahead and serve myself up a plate of this. We'll head over to the craft room for a little taste test. So there we go, complete. I hope I did W.T. Benda justice with the cuisine of his native home, where he originated from, I suppose. And if anyone is of Polish descent or is into making Polish cuisine, I hope I did you proud as well. This is my first time making pretty much all of this except for the onions. So let me know what you think. But let's head over to the craft room and I'll try for myself. 1 second. Okay. So here we are in the craft room. I moved my kit aside, but there's one drill here. Okay, so let's try the miseria again just to make sure it's still as good as before it's set. Let's see. Oh yeah. It's got like a creaminess to it, and that dill's really starting to come through now that it's set, but still very refreshing, which is awesome. Okay. I guess next, sorry about Apollo. He's like, I want that so bad. He followed me all the way in here. Let's try a pierogi. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The wine with the onions. Perfect. Okay. I don't think eating videos are that enticing, so I'm trying to do this quick. Let's try the kielbasa. Whoops. There we go. As you can see, I gave myself like a fourth of what I made. I'm gonna have this for like the rest of the week. Okay, kielbasa. Oh my God, so good. So darn good. If you have the opportunity to try making miseria, if you have a Polish market or somewhere where you can get a nice kielbasa, go for it. Polish dishes are just so good. I've been to that pierogies factory a number of times and had schnitzel. I've had a beet salad. I've had like a number of different things there, and every time it's all very, very good. So I highly suggest giving it a try if you haven't yet. There's a lot of flavor and a lot of fun to be had here. Oh, Apollo, he just laid right down on the tripod. Sir, be cool. He's trying to find his way to the table. So I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to make a meal inspired by the culture and history of W.T. Benda. I hope that you enjoyed coming along with me. Maybe you'll give this, this recipe or some of the other pre-made or pre-purchased stuff that I got yourself and give it a try, and maybe have a little taste of W.T. Benda's and the Polish culture. Once again, I hope I did him proud. This was my first time trying any of this, and I think it turned out good. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to finish this and get back to diamond painting. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, if you've made any of these dishes before, if these look really familiar to you. If you have any tips on how to improve my my skills in Polish Polish cuisine. Otherwise, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with friends, family members, anyone that you think might take some value out of this content. Otherwise, happy placing, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye. 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 Bye.